For our first lesson, we're starting with section 3.1, linear inequalities in one variable. And now before we get into the more difficult aspects of inequalities, I want to first review some of the more basic concepts, such as what does the four inequalities even mean. So you have your four basic inequality symbols, your less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So these four statements here are read as follows: x is less than 5, x is greater than 5, x is less than or equal to 5, and x is greater than or equal to 5. Easy way that I always had taught or always learned to remember these is that with your inequality symbols, it's as if it's an alligator mouth or a Pac-Man mouth. It always wants to eat the bigger meal. So whichever way the mouth is opening up to, that is the bigger amount. So for example, this first piece here, x, then our symbol 5, it's opening up to the 5, meaning 5 is bigger than x. Well, if 5 is bigger than x, then x has to be less than 5. So that kind of comes to this next part I wanted to have you guys add in, that every inequality can be written in the opposite direction. So if we have x is less than 5, that's the same thing as writing 5 is greater than x. See, the alligator mouth or the inequality symbol is still opening up to the 5, indicating that's the bigger value. So saying x is greater than 5 would be the same thing as saying 5 has to be smaller than x, because x is greater than 5, and writing it that way. Here x is bigger than 5. Here x is still bigger than 5 because the inequality symbol is opening up to the x. X is less than or equal to 5. Well, same thing, just flip it around. So the 5 goes on the left, indicating, symbol needs to indicate that x is smaller than the 5, but the bar underneath means that it could also be equal to 5. And then lastly, x is greater than or equal to 5. That's the same thing as saying 5 is less than or equal to x. So if the inequality is opening up to the x written this way, when the variable's on the left-hand side, it needs to still open up to the variable when it's written on the right-hand side. Okay? So you need to be good with using inequalities either way, interchangeably. Now in this inequality right below here, where we have two values and two inequality symbols, this is a little bit different. This is indicating that x can be a number that has to be greater than -5, but then that number x, whatever it is, also has to be less than or equal to +5. So really what this is saying in English is that x can be any number in between -5 and 5. And it includes the +5 as a possible value, but not including -5 because there's not that equal to bar underneath. So again, in English, this would be read as x is between -5 and +5. And more specifically, you want to include +5 in your possible numbers that you could take, for x, but not -5. Okay. You could get very, very close, as close as possible as you could be to -5, but not actually being -5. So we could even write in here, what are some possible solutions then?